mean, look, everybody's got a different way of reporting out their information. I'm just going to show you a couple of tricks to create a spreadsheet that's easy to use. So, you open up with a blank spreadsheet, you're not entirely sure how to get started. This is going to be my suggestion, to have something that's, pretty easy to keep up to date, to change the dates, to change the reporting period, change the values that you're reporting, etc. So I've already created a handful of things in here. So you'll see I've got a reporting level, schedule start date, and a reporting start date. So I'll just do a quick, I'll quickly wrap these. Just going to give myself a little bit more room. So I'll just format them like this, format cells. Just give them a bit of a border so it's clear. Try that again. Give them an outline. So reporting level, I'm just going to hard code in here. I'm just going to type in monthly. Now this is the same name of reporting level that I have in my reporting period section. So I've got one here called monthly. It's a bit of an older demo that I opened up today, so it's the dates are not quite right, but it doesn't really matter. The schedule start date. So one of the formulas that you have access to in your settings is the schedule start date. So if I pick that and I set it to the current case, which is what we're in, main demo, it comes up as what's called an Excel date, so it's just an integer. But if we format the cells and make them look like a date, then they'll be clear that the start date is the 1st of the 1st, 2015. As I said, I fired up a really old demo today. What will happen with this is if you open up your case settings and you change your date, what will happen on the spreadsheet when you rerun your schedule is the date gets updated. So, and then the reporting start date. So either you can choose to use this date, which is fine. You can just point it at that date there. Or you can type in a date that you want to start it from. So you may want to set it to the 1st of the 1st, 2015, regardless of the start date of the schedule, so that you can hard code some historicals in or something like that. So the next thing that I'm going to do is in this top line here, we're just going to have a series of numbers, and those numbers are going to be, and this will make sense when everything's set up, but we go reporting levels, and what we want is period index at date. And so it doesn't matter which one you pick here, because we're going to change the way that the formula reads, and we're not going to read the monthly hard-coded. We're going to point it at the reporting level, and we're going to point the date at the date that we've selected to start our reporting. So I'm also going to hard code that, not that it really matters. And you'll get the number 3. Now, it doesn't really matter what this means, but what it means is the reporting period that you have in your monthly setup, starting at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, January 2015 is index 3. So that's why it's giving me this number 3, is because the 1st of January has the index 3. If I point this date at the start date of the schedule, you'll see that that number ticks up. And this is the secret to sort of keeping the schedule up to date for as many periods as we want. So it's just going to be this number plus 1. The next thing that we're going to do is point a few more dates, a few more different ways of reading the same thing. So we've got the formula here for reporting levels. Now we've done index at date. What we're going to do now is date at index. So period start date at index. So once again, in this prompt, it doesn't matter what we pick, because we're going to change what we're looking at, and we're going to point this here, and this one we're going to point at this number here. Oh, there's a bug in setting multiple things in the spreadsheet at the moment, which I'll have to address. So we'll point that at this record, and that one we want to lock the 1, but we don't want to lock the C. So as we drag this out, the Excel date style will change. So we're going to format that to be a date as well, just like we did before. And now we've got some hard-coded dates. And the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to do one more, which is period name at index. Same as before. Don't need to worry about those. Change this one. And change this to be linked to that index there. Lock the 1, but not the C. Now, the reason why we do this is because we get, however we've decided to format our dates in our reporting period. So this currently says January 2015. It doesn't say 1/01/2015. The reason for that is in our reporting levels is that's its name. That's what it's actually called. So if I've got some special other information in here which is useful for that reporting period, or for whatever reason it's a little bit different to the way a date is normally written in the spreadsheet, if we recalculate, you can see that the name itself is being drawn down from. But now we've got the index, which we don't really care about for the rest of it. We've got this date and we've got this name. From here on out, what we can do is we can start to report things. So value expression, filter expression, and here is actually where the formula is going to go. And we're going to use pretty much exclusively schedule results. So if you've previously used Spry spreadsheets, about 6 months ago we added in schedule result functionality. It just means you don't have to pick which thing, sum, min, max, weight average. You can choose schedule result and it will select which thing is whatever either the Spry default is for things like source quantity. It will sum things up for things like truck rates. It will weight average them on truckloads. Or if they're custom fields, it'll read the custom fields aggregation that you've set, so you don't have to double up on understanding which thing it's weight averaging on. If you want to override the defaults, for sure, you can use one of the hard-coded ones, but if you're happy with the normal aggregation, then you select schedule result. Use current case. One of the things that I would suggest that you do here as a side note is actually you untick this and let it fill in main demo. The benefit of this is if you want to compare your results to another case, the formulas will all be really easy to change the case name of. So this would be my recommendation. Untick it and leave it to set the hard-coded case. Now the value, in this particular example, I'm just going to pull up a custom field for, this is an old demo, I haven't looked at it. Actually, no, I'm just going to use source quantity. If you are not familiar with exactly what you want, you can start to type it in to the list and go and find, source is probably not a great word to use, but quantity will give you your examples. So source quantity. Now filter, so I'm just going to say filter it by waste. Safe, for things that are weight averaged, safe makes more sense, but I'm going to pull in a safe value of 0 regardless. I'm always going to say yes, I want it to be safe. Even though in this example it's a sum, it'll just mean that other weight average things will get a safe value of 0. And I'm going to pick monthly and I'm going to pick a date. Once again, we're going to change these two things to be hard-coded. So I'll change this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip each of these values out. And I'm going to paste them in here to show you how we change this from being a sort of hard-coded formula to being something that you can change without actually needing to read the whole formula. So we're going to point the A, we're going to lock the A, but not the 5. Same with this filter. We're going to pull it out, copy, paste it in there, and we're going to link that. We'll lock the B, but not the 5. And the rest of it, the case name, you can leave hard-coded if you like, but we can always change that. And then we can change the B, the monthly, to that one. And we'll change the date. And we're going to point it at this second row. So the one that's actually a date is this second row here. And we're going to lock the 2, but not the C. So what will happen is as we drag it out, now we don't appear to have a schedule in this version of the demo, so let me fire off something that actually produces a result, which might be handy. Just turn off the constraints, I'm not sure what they're doing. Still nothing. What's being done here? What's in our schedule? We'll just set it to February. It looks like nothing's happening. Oh, there's no such thing as process waste. That's the issue. Okay, that's fine. Must be a hangover from an old model. Sorry about this, guys. So we'll head back to the spreadsheet. It's not process equals process waste. So this actually drives home one of the reasons why it's handy to split these things out. So we've now got, if we right click on this, we can change and we can go to a filter expression builder. So we can pop this open and just go, no, waste actually doesn't exist. What it's called is blasted excavator. And as soon as I make that change, all of the numbers in here come along for the ride. And so I can continue to pull this out for all of the records that we have in the table. And I can also pull this whole formula set down the list, and you'll see that as you click into any of these particular cells that it's referencing the date and then the references, and so they're all filling out 0 because they're safes as zeros, so they're just coming out with zeros because you haven't filled it in. But if you now go with operating hours maybe, and then you filter it by, you add in a filter expression that filters it by the equipment, so 60/60. So it makes it really, really easy for you to add values in. So you just, rather than you having to focus on building up the whole formula, you can go into, pop open an expression editor and grab any particular value that you think is useful. So I don't know how many of these are actually producing numbers. So we'll go to scheduling, maybe go to, what's a good one? Cumulative operating hours is fine. And then throw up filter expression for the 60/40. Doesn't like that one. It's a good example. You can tell I practiced this one. Good example to test expression errors. Outside of a schedule-based function. So I might have to force it to use schedule sum in this example. That might be one of the handful of things that does not obey a schedule result. So we'll change that to calendar hours for the moment and go and investigate. Yeah, so I'll have a look into that, a separate issue. Most of your custom fields, the vast majority of your custom fields, the vast majority of your scheduling results can be controlled now through right-click, expression editor, right-click, filter editor, and everything else will come along for the ride. And the other thing that I haven't shown you here, and the part of the purpose of this too, is I've got a yearly reporting level and also a financial year, is if I want to create a copy of this sheet and change this to yearly, all of my dates get updated, all of my results get updated, and I don't have to worry about formatting or changing anything else. So that's quite a useful thing that you can copy and paste between various things. So as a template for how spreadsheets can get started, that's pretty much it. Obviously there's a hell of a lot to do here, and there's formatting and a bunch of other things to do, but if you use something like this as the basis for what you're working on, it means that as you're if you're using this date, you can set dates beyond as your schedule increments. You don't have to worry about updating all of your reports. All of your reports will have their dates updated to the current schedule times. So it's got quite a lot of useful functionality in this space for just being kept up to date without you having to micromanage it all. So I'll leave you with it. I hope that was useful, and have a great weekend.